Welcome aboard, Brother Michael. Welcome aboard, Sister Angelina. Welcome aboard, Sister, as well. It's all about peace. Welcome aboard, Brother Good. Good to see you. We stand divided, we fall. All we need is freedom. That's what we need. Welcome aboard, Sister Yar. I am doing very well. Thank you so much for asking. It is a very good song. It's really touching. Talk about the freedom. United we stand and divided we fall. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, Sister Nyakum. Welcome aboard. I'm not going to talk long today. It seemed like talking so long, it makes people go away. أنا ليس متمردا أنا صوت الحق. It's not for fun, really. We are preaching loud and clear about the freedom, about peace, about reconciliation, about liberty and prosperity. Freedom and love. See? Welcome aboard, Sister Teresa. Welcome aboard as well, Sister Aker. All right, Assalamu alaikum everybody. Thank you for joining in today. Concerned Citizen decided to go live at this evening here in Mountain Time. I wanted to start by reading a few words. These a few words were written by an unknown author who cared deeply about the beloved country of South Sudan. And actually, this word were written to South Sudan, the motherland, were written for the suffering of the people of South Sudan. I'm going to try it. I hear your cry for many years. Hold on strong. I see the road is getting rough. The hills are high and hard to climb. Don't be afraid. Keep having faith. Everything will be okay. Again, thank you for coming aboard today. As we talk every time about the current issue in our country, South Sudan, the peace-loving people always wanted to give good advice. They wanted to cheer. They want something good for South Sudan. عشان كده أنا جيت الأمسية ده أنا جيت من الشغل قبل شوية، لكن أنا حبيت على إن أنا أكون معكم ونتفاخر ونتكلم فيما يهم جنوب السودان الحبيب. بالتأكيد الزول بيكون عنده brother، بيكون عنده sister منذ الصغر. انت بيكون عندك اخوك، عندك اختك، ودايما a brother will take care of sister and a sister will take care of a brother, especially when you have little sisters and when you have little brothers. لما يمشوا يلعبوا برا ما في زول يتمنى مثلا يحصل حاجة بطال لأخوه الصغير ولأخته الصغير. Why I'm saying this? I got to have that feeling because we have been talking about the brother, how we need to become a brother keeper. يكون في حب ما بيننا، نساعد بعض. So الرسالة اللي داير أرسله لكم هنا، United States is a brother. United States is a sister. وزي ما أنا ذكرت قبل إنه لو زول عنده مشكلة هو صغير أخوه كبير will take care of you. Especially لو ما عندك لو ما عندك أب. Especially if your father abandoned you or your mother abandoned you. لو تركوك مثلا في مكان خاوية، أبوك خلاك وبقى ما فاضي، وأمك خلاك وبقى ما فاضي. Your brother will take place of your mother and will take place of your father. So, brothers and sisters, we have been crying for so long. إننا عايزين سلام، إننا عايزين استقرار، إنه يحصل حاجة كويس في بلادنا. لكن طبعا our father abandoned us. Our fathers, they abandoned us. And they chose to be in the wrong side of history. They chose to abandon the values. And they have forgotten. Yesterday, umbareh, can't be brother got decide. They have forgotten. I know. I keep talking about this, keep talking about it. Some people don't like it. But this is the truth. This is the reality. So what I wanted to say here today, we wanted to give the last advice because we have been advising. We have been talking. يا جماعة الحرب بتاعنا زمان كنا حاربنا من أجل justice, liberty, prosperity. Especially liberty. Because sometimes, there is a difference between democracy and freedom. يكون في مجال لنا because we have been suffer for so long. Nazna we have been suffered since 1947. المفروض كان يحصل after independence of South Sudan إنه يكون في real reconciliation. the SPLM party يجي ويقول يا أخي نحن الحصل زمان في 70s والحصل زمان في 80s. Now we are in a new path. We are not going to slide into the same problem. كان فرقنا زمان. لأن نحن الجنوبيين دائما لما يكون مشكلة بنتفرق. ولما نتوحد بنكون أقوى. And we defeat the enemy. See? So, they have forgotten, مثلا, to tackle the issue on the Mahdi. I know I'm not going to talk about the Mahdi. And I'm not going to fight about the Mahdi. Because, as Socrates said, fighting on Mahdi, دائما بيرجعك ورا ما بخليك مثلا تتقدم قدام. You should focus on fighting on the future. Focus building the future. That's what it is. لكن الماضي دائما yes بنتذكره. والماضي مر دائما. لكن الأفضل نحن شنو? We focus on the future. We have to fight for the future. That's the most important thing. وأنا داير أقول مثل بسيط لنازل في Western world. When you are driving your car, see the way the motor vehicle has been built, the way مثلا عربية صنعوها, it's kind of amazing, في مرايات في جنبها, يعني you have two view, mirror. وفي مراية في في وشك. المراية في وشك ده انت بتعاين بو شنو الحاجة الحاصل ورا. لكن the most important, when you are driving, your focus always more on the what in front of you, because you want to focus. انت ماشي قدام. اما المراية اللي بورا ده بيديك view عن ورا. انت لو راجع or something coming behind, so you can focus, and see what is behind you. That's why, that the automobile was built that way. That's the same thing with human. So now, we are not going to cry for the past. We will remember the past. But our focus should be building the future. Should be focusing on the future. Okay? So, the message that I have, I am very enthusiastic, by the way, because a couple of weeks back, and I didn't show, and I already made it clear, and I said that I have a feeling that we will get there. We will cross that river, and peace will prevail. And liberty and freedom for the people of South Sudan, it will not be just like a dream. We have been dreaming for many, many years. And that's why I read that little, some words, before I start this program. And we have been crying for many years. But I feel like the time is coming not to be afraid, but to have faith and move forward. And that's why my focus always on the young generation of South Sudan. Young generation of South Sudan, to do the right thing, to come forward and keep speaking and keep hammering in non-violent ways, in a non-violent way. Because I do not believe any violence can solve any problem. No violence can solve any problem. And mostly, I would like to thank those who stood behind South Sudanese people, the innocent South Sudanese. When the EU, the AU, and the United States of America, when they raised their voice and they started speaking up, they are not speaking up because of politicians, because of opposition, because of the government, because of the rebel. They care deeply more about the suffering of ordinary South Sudanese. And we should applaud that. And we should praise that. And that's why I said from the beginning, we have a big brother and a big sister. And if you have a big brother and a big sister, you do not need to be afraid. You need to speak up. You need to talk. You need to bring all the issue to their attention. Shifter, instead مثلا holding you back. And by the way, إحنا كجنوبيين سودانيين, we have been speaking out many times. وانا ذكرتكم قصة هنا مثلا هنا في Western world, لو حصل حريقة في البيت بيجي مطافي أولا وبعد كده يجيب إسعاف ولما جرى. So it looked like now, it seemed now to me, مثلا the United States, the country who invested billions and billions and billions in people of South Sudan since the CPA, and we have forgotten them and we threw them under the bus and we start marginalized, violating our people's human rights and doing all kind of bad things. Now they are in the cross point. And that's why I said from the beginning, this is my last advice to our brothers who don't seem to understand that country actually for all. And that country is enough for all. And that country will prosper one day if we move toward transparency and justice and liberty for all. So be encouraged, be supportive with the initiative that the United States started. And I wanted to give advice to them. Dear brothers, we have cried for a long time and we have talked to you for a long time, and you aren't listening to us. Please put your arrogantness on the side. Because the moment that we are in right now, it's not going to help it. It's not going to help it. I said it many times. Several weeks back, peace will come. Whether they want it or they don't want it. Peace will come. But I hope that President Kiir and people around him, they are mature enough. They are mature enough not to slide themselves in a chaotic situation. I know South Sudanese, they have been dying for so long and they didn't care about them. It's not their priority, but now it is on their neck though. And that's why I'm still giving that advice. The moment is so critical. To be honest with you, I'm sorry to say this, but I must say it. I don't want you to end up like one of those Saddam Hussein. I don't want you to end up like those of Gaddafi. I don't want you to end up like Gbagbo in Cote d'Ivoire, in West Africa. And all of you know what Gbagbo has done. And all of you know what Gaddafi has done. And all of you know what Saddam Hussein has done. Right? In 1948, and I did talk a lot about this, after the Second World War, all the international community, they became more awake. But prior to that, whoever is stronger will invade the weak people, invade the weak country, and they will take their resources. As a result, mysteries, people died, a lot of bad things happened. But in 1948, in the United States, in San Francisco, the President, Henry Truman, called all the Organization of Nations and said, it was unfair. It was unfair for countries to go invade countries and colonize and take the resources and marginalize them and violate their rights. Now is the time as the world to sit down and present a collective responsibility so we can take care of everyone. And every sovereign nation, Siyada Dawla, has to take care of its own people. And all humans are equal. They have right. There is universal right. They have right of living. They have right of moving. They have right to be free, to speak up. And we all agree. As a result, countries became, especially in African and Southern Hemisphere, they gained their independence. In Asia, in Africa, in South America, they gained their independence. And they become more sovereign nation. But all the international community have agreed that time that every state, the requirement of a state, you have to protect your own people. You cannot violate their rights. You cannot marginalize them. You cannot kill them. They have the right of movement. They have the right of expression. They have the right of speaking up. But if you fail to do, we, as an international community, we have a collective responsibility to come and help these ordinary people that you are killing. For some people who do not know, I'm saying this, because sometimes people mix up things. They say, oh, why America coming? Why this coming? Why that coming? We all agreed. And even we, South Sudanese, to become a member of international community, we sign all these documents that we will abide the international laws and we will respect the human rights, right of children, right of women, right of all these things. South Sudan agreed in 2011. So now we have been given opportunity. Our government, our leaders, they have been given opportunity to sort out the differences. The power is struggling, but they don't want to. They just want to keep fighting. And who suffer? The ordinary citizen of South Sudan. They are the one that's suffering. They are the one dying from hunger, from gun, from disease, from all these things. So now is the time the world became more awakened, especially the big brother, the United States, that we invested on South Sudan so they can be free, so they can have fairness, so they can live like other nations. They can be human. They can live with their dignity. And that's why they pressure al-Bashir in 2003, 2004, 2005. As a result, we signed a comprehensive peace agreement, which has led to self-determination. And South Sudanese, overwhelmingly, we voted for independence. America invested a lot, $11 billion plus in South Sudan, so we can be free, so we can live like people, other people in the world. And now our brothers don't want that to happen. But you know what? Like I told you before, there is a collective responsibility for international community. If people have been marginalized, have been killed, have been so, and all these things, they have the right to come and help. Because no one is going to help. So, do not be surprised. Those who say, oh, why America, why all this? Do not be surprised. This is something must come. And it has to take place. And it's for your security. It's for your protection. You know what? I wanted to say something to those people who say, oh, well, America, something will happen. Guess what? Saudi Arabia Kingdom, Sultanate Oman, Emirates, Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, all this country I mentioned, Algeria. You remember in the 90s, Algeria used to have a lot of problems. All these countries that I mentioned, they were leaning on the United States. And the United States build their security, build their economic, build their system. And that's why these countries are stable. And that's why now, when you're traveling through Dubai, you feel, oh, wallahi, Dubai is beautiful, it's so nice. Yes, it's so nice. Because they have that gut. They have that gut. They sat down and they did cooperated, and they become ally with the United States. That's why they are in the position they are in now. The same thing to Saudi Arabia. It's desert. What do they have? They have only oil. All these countries in Arab Gulf, they don't have nothing. Same thing with Jordan, with Kuwait. Okay? And they develop. Did America took this country? Did America move them? No, they're still there, and they still have their sovereignty, and they still free, and their economic is very prosperous. So do not listen to propaganda, what they say, oh, well, America is coming to do this and do that. Those who fear the United States, actually they want to steal because they don't want transparency. And I told you before, and I said this before, said because we were allied more with the United States prior to independence of South Sudan. But our brothers, when they came to the power, they realized that when America does business with you, they want you to be transparent. They want you to be just to your people. They don't want you, to do things, behind the scene. No, they don't want that. That's why they chose China. That's why they dumped the United States. Because with Chinese, you can, fill up your belly, fill up your pocket, do whatever, and they will not care about human rights. They will not care about environment. They will not care. See? That point, a lot of people don't get it. And that's what happened exactly. And I brought another point too. A baby, when you start walking, you rely on your father, you rely on your brother, you rely on those who've grown up. And we as South Sudanese, as the independent nation, we cannot just go on the field and say, hey, I can do this by my own. There is a time that you need to be supervised, you need to help. That was a critical time. That's why the United States wanted to help that time, to build our army, to build our police forces, to build our security, to build our economy, to introduce the financial system. That's no one can wreck it, no one can steal, no one can do all these things. But our brothers, they didn't like that because they wanted to steal. They have that ego. The ego that they said, oh, we fought for this country. We spent many, many years, 22 years in jungle. No, we should have a turn, to eat. And then later, okay, we can, whatever happen. Brothers and sisters, do you think that's fair? It's not fair. You know that it's not fair. And I don't know if you know that it's not fair. Why would you just side with someone who is doing something wrong? Why? It wouldn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Even though he's a related, he's a very close friend, he's a mother, he's a father, he's a cousin. But he's doing the wrong thing. It's not. And that's why I have no sympathy. And that's why I'm giving the last advice to them. Now is the critical time. We cried. Half of population is out. It is a time to accept the realities. It is a time to accept and sit down at the table. We are not just collection, of people that have marks on their head, taboo on their head, and all this, We are the republic. We have a common ground. We fought for common services, common purposes. When we fought the oppressors north, we have a common purpose. We unite together. See? And that value that unites us to fight the bigger enemy should remain. But I know that mistake happened. But my advice here, we don't need to be shaken with propaganda and all, things that don't make sense. I gave you example of the Gulf state, what the United States did to them, and how they are secure now. Now, if you travel to Dubai, some of you who have been to Dubai, they will never think something wrong with their security. You will feel good. You feel you are secure. So alliances with the United States is the only solution. And sitting round table and make a consensus with your brother, whether they are FDs, whether they are Riek Machar, whether they are Thomas Cirillo, whether they are Lama Kol, we have to be inclusive. We have nothing to lose to bring peace. Actually, we have something to gain to bring peace. By putting our differences behind and building the future. And forget about the past. I know we can still remember the past. But to fight or to build the future, it requires us to sit down and make a consensus and compromise and move forward. But if we're still complaining about what happened in 91, what happened in 84, what happened in 78, what happened in 72, we're not going to move any step. That's why I say that's part of history. Yes, bad thing happened. But this is the time to turn the page like what President Obama said a long time ago. Turn the page, and open a new chapter and move forward. That's what we need, especially young generation. I'm not speaking, to this old gizzo. They don't want to do anything because they think their sun has gone down and our sun is coming here and this is their time to eat and they should remain like that. Just think about it. Think about 2 words of that professor from Kenya said that the United States of America was not built by army of angels. It was built by people like us, like you and me. But they have that compromise. You remember sitting down and say, hey, we are this. Every country has gone through difficulties. Even America have gone through tribal. Some people think that America doesn't have tribe. America have maybe 1 million tribes. Those of Irish, when they came here, they speak English. Those of French, when they came here, they speak French. Those of Italian, when they came here, they speak Italian. Those of Greek, when they came here, they speak Greek, Latin. And those far in whatever, Holland, they speak their own Dutch, And the same thing with Poland, they speak Polish, and Finland. These are tribes. Imagine, we are all tribes. But in Europe, they have more tribes than the tribe we have. They have more tribes. Why I'm saying they have more tribes? Look, we are black all. We are all the same color, right? But we have different languages. And that's what categorizes us as a tribe. The same thing with European. They are all white with blue eyes and green eyes. But they have their own different languages. But being different ethnicity, it will not prevent you from coming together, actually. It's not going to prevent you. They came together. See, when they started, when the United States, started, they have some issues. French think, because they are French, they think they should lead. And English people think they should lead. And Italian think they should lead. And Greek think they should lead. And those Aztec and the native of America, they think they should lead too. But you know what? What solved all this problem? Nobody came from Africa or from Europe or from South America and tell them, hey, sit down. They sat down and they come to their common sense and they resolve it. And they say, hey, whether you are French, whether you are Greek, whether you are Irish, or whether you are from Finland or from Russia, at the end of the day, we are American. That's the common thing. That's the common denominator. We are American. The same thing to people of South Sudan. We have a lot of hatred with tribalism and all these things. But at the end of the day, 43 or 44, 64 tribe, we are South Sudanese. But when someone come, and go on the top and start, doing all these tribal policies and all these things, we should not embrace that. Because actually you want to divide that so it can stay. And that's what happened. And we chose to be silent. Majority of South Sudan chose to be silent. No, I don't want to speak up. I don't want to say this. No. Like I said, even though it is my mother or my father, I will still speaking up. Because the value that we fought for, we have to have moral courage for the value that we fought for. To have equality and justice and all. So, I repeat my advice to Kira administration and people around him that you have been playing too much. And those who are coming to help, they are not just, out of their mind. They are not just wanted to go and throw their money away. It's a responsibility that they have committed it since 1948. That the international community has collective responsibility to step in if the country fail to protect its own people. And then it's a collective responsibility for those big states to come and help. Economically, militarily, all above. So don't be fooled by propaganda. These people are saying America will take us and it will never go away and will do this. No. They are using all this propaganda so they can stay. Without the United States, we wouldn't have South Sudan now. And you know that's the reality. The pressure that they have given Bashir. You know that very well. So please be encouraged and work toward peace and speak up and speed up. This is the time to put aside our differences and come together. Embrace, especially young generation. This is our time. Forget about all the propaganda. Do the right thing. We need liberty. You see the liberty that you have here in America when you go, what you have in Australia, what you have in Canada, what you have in Europe. When you go somewhere, nobody can just come and go in front of you and do this. Why don't you feel? Nobody does that to you because they know you are human. You are human. And every human must be respected. And we don't have that in our country because we have wrong leaders. People who don't care. People who are very selfish. They don't look for big picture. They look into themselves, into their families, into their clans, into their brothers, that's what they do. But you know what? Beletna, our country, it requires a leader that's not selfish, a leader that cares more about people, a leader that cares about the country. That's what need. These are the requirements. Not to be son of Sultan, not to be so and so and so. So thank you so much for being with me. I want to encourage you and I want you to move forward. And please do the right thing as a young generation. You will be remembered for the good thing that you do. The bad things are not good. You know what Hitler has done. Now the people are crying after a century for what he has done. So thank you. Have a good night. Feel good. Peace is certain. Peace will prevail in South Sudan. It's a matter of time, and it will happen. Thank you. Have a good night.